Yep. What up, Shell? It's Tuna. I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about the new currencies that we're getting for our flasks. The instilling orb and the enkindling orb. But most importantly, the instilling orb, because I've sort of found a way to get permanent uptime on flasks without having to press a single button on my keyboard. And it's pretty much like using a flask macro, right? Except it's in the game, right? So this is going to be facilitated by the fact that as we progress through, the expansion here, Expedition League, we're going to be able to sort of clear faster and faster, which means that we're going to get a lot more flask charges, right? And as those flasks fill up, they're going to get full faster and things like that. And we are able to then apply the orb onto our flasks to get use charge upon reaching full. So what that means is that when your flask gets full, it will use that flask. And then you can also apply different modifiers on there, such as use when an adjacent flask is used, which is another option to do this with. So that means that like if this flask goes off, then the flask next to it goes off. As you can see, like if I was to click it here, close my inventory, you can see that they both go off, right? But they also go off when the charges are full. As you see, it goes off automatically. And that basically allows us to have a permanent uptime on flasks so long as we're killing monsters. But it also allows us to, for example, when we get to a boss, we can still use the flasks by hand if we like. So we still have full control over our flasks, but we don't have to worry about it when we're mapping. And I can do a quick little showcase right now of what that looks like in a map. And that is completely, playing one-handed without having to press my flasks. You can see that our flasks are going off and they're just reaching full permanently, and it's just permanently being used automatically as we're fighting mobs. And it might drop off once in a while when there's no monsters and stuff. So this is sort of one of those things that's going to scale better and better as we're getting better density throughout the expansion and things like that. Here we're not quite yet getting many mobs into our maps and things like that, so like it's not going to be quite as good as it will be later. But as we're getting bigger pack size and whatnot, it's only gonna get better. And honestly, for me, it's one of the saving graces about this flask rework. I know it kind of sucks for everyone that we're not able to actually use our flasks in ways that we were before, like to remove bleeds and whatnot. Sorry about the bells. I just signaled that it's 6:30. Yep, you're lucky it's not the 7 o'clock bells. Those are really, really loud. So yeah, we're just able to essentially get our flasks to have pretty much permanent uptime on their use, which honestly makes me really, really excited, because it saves my hand. I play Path of Exile a lot, and over time my wrist sort of deteriorates and starts to feel worse. So yeah, that is sort of what it looks like in a map, and that is the quick showcase. And to further make this sort of effective, I also use an overflowing chalice, which the overflowing chalice is a really good flask because essentially it sort of gives us how Pathfinder behaves. It gives us increased charges gained with other flasks while it's in effect. However, it does not gain charges for itself while it's in use, but it lasts 6 seconds. So with this up, our charges are going to fill twice as fast, which basically means that the nerf that they made, in maps is sort of negated by the fact that we're getting twice as many charges for our flasks, which makes these flasks reach full faster, and gives us better uptime on these flasks without having to press a single button. Essentially, that is the new flask tech that we have gotten this expansion, and I'm really excited about that. There's two downsides to this. One downside is that when you enter a map, you do not get grace, because essentially what happens is that you enter the map and your flasks are instantly full, and they're automatically gonna be used. So while you're in a loading screen, the flasks are gonna be used and they're gonna break grace. And I hope that GGG is actually maybe gonna fix this, but no promises there, of course. And the second thing is that you lose you lose a flask slot to an overflowing chalice. But I mean, it's a good flask, right? You get basically 40% increased 40% increased damage, which is what the sulfur flask effect. So it's pretty much homogeneous. It's good for every build, which is not bad. And yeah, I mean, lastly, one issue that we have is, I guess, maybe, I don't know if it's an oversight or something, but maybe for like enduring flask, you know, it's nice to be able to put this currency on it, but at the moment we are not able to apply the enkindling orb on mana or life flasks. It makes sense for life flasks, obviously, because you want to use them reactively, but for mana flask, maybe enduring flask would be really nice to have the option to put an instilling orb on there to use when it's full, so we can just permanently have that up as well. But yeah, that is pretty much what the instilling orb has allowed us to do. And the way we roll these is, let's say you get a flask, right? Let's look here. Sorry, I haven't really prepared for this, but so imagine we have here our flask, and it says when you use a life flask, and when you use it again, when you start bleeding, use again reuse at the end of a flask effect. So this doesn't give us quite as good sustain as this, because it's always gonna sort of spam it even when you're in, like, idling or whatever. But it's also an option to have this, so this ensures even higher uptime on the flasks. So you could essentially maybe have one that says when the charge is full, and you know, reuse at the end of the flask, or use when the adjacent flask is used. So those are the options that you have. Yep, for the flask to get automatic use out of them. So yeah, I was really excited, and I wanted to show you guys this. And yeah, I hope you're having a good league, and I hope you enjoy this trick. And I really look forward to people using this GGG sanctioned flask macro, since I'm honestly really excited about this. Saving my wrist. It's a game changer, honestly. So yeah, thanks guys, have a good day, and bye bye.